And this is the first opportunity we've had to speak in person about Reuben. Obviously a signing that's caused huge intrigue among the staff at Meadow Lane as well as the fans, of course. Tell us why you've signed him.
A number of reasons, but he's just a very, very talented player that we believe, having watched, like I said, I watched him more than anyone in lockdown. We believe, having watched all the footage and done all our homework on him, that he's a player that's going to get better. He's only 23. He will fit the English game. He's very dynamic, very intense in his work. And as you see with his stats as of late, his goals, his assists, he's a creative player, technically very, very good. I don't want to big him up too much because we got to get him up to speed, which Eric and the staff are doing now. But he's a very likeable lad as well. He'll fit in really, really well, and I think it's an exciting one for me. It's an exciting one for the recruitment team. We've done a lot of work on this, and we feel we've got a player that's not only going to be an asset to us over the coming years, but also, I think eventually there could be a lot of interest in him.
It's been a bit of a lonely start to life at Notts County for Reuben. Him, Eric and Marco on the training ground with just him doing the running. But he's now got a new friend, hasn't he, in Jake Reeves. He's going to be joining him for this sort of pre-season phase. Just tell us about the club's decision to handle their arrivals in this way.
Well, we just, since we knew what league we was in, obviously, from the playoff final, you can't really crack on and do your recruitment. You have your targets, but you need to deal with your own players. You don't know who's going to re-sign, who's going to take the offers that you've offered. So you don't know, you could end up needing 4 or 5 players, you could end up needing 10, you just don't know. So it's the hard part of my job. It's probably why I haven't spoken to my wife for a number of days, because you're on the phone constantly with agents. So, but we looked at the players that we would be bringing in that hadn't had the pre-season we'd had prior to the playoffs. And if you actually look back to when football finished, you could make a case for the fact that some of them wouldn't have kicked a ball for 5 months. That's a long time. And to expect them to turn up when we return next week with the full squad and be at the same levels is impossible. So any new signings we could get in that we could get at least a week or two's groundwork into was going to be a positive, because it would get them closer to the first team squad that we currently have.
And one member of the first team squad who I know you'll be absolutely thrilled to have is Michael Doyle for another season. Your skipper was the first to sign the contract he was offered. No surprises, I wouldn't have thought, but nevertheless great news for the club.
Of course, I've often made points not to underplay his value. People, whether they think he's been outstanding in a particular game or not, his value to me and the group every second of every day of the week is invaluable. He's the most driven person I think I've worked with, and it rubs off on the team. And for the most part this season, in a lot of games, he's been outstanding. But even the games where he might only be average, which I can't remember any, but even if he is, what he brings to the team that people can't see is outstanding. So I think he's got one more good year left in him, and it would be fitting to the career he's had, over 800 games, if he can end that doing what he's done quite often before, lifting a trophy.
Alex Lacey as well, the fans were absolutely delighted to see him sign on the dotted line. I'd imagine that was a no-brainer from the club's point of view as well.
Of course, he stepped in. We liked him last summer, but we missed out on him. We had to go for other targets because he had a League One club in for him that he potentially was going to go and sign for. We understood that he's that sort of player that should be playing at that level. But then when that fell through for certain reasons, we lost Sam Graham, we straight back in for him. And if anything, he's impressed me even more than I actually realised. You think he's a good player, and then you work with him and you realise he's a very good player. And again, calmness, the way we like to play, we want to play out from the back. His decision making, his quality from that is very, very good. So I think we've got 3 really, really strong centre backs.
Richard Brindley as well, very, very consistent performer throughout the season. You must be pleased to have him in your armoury for next year.
Yeah, we looked hard at all the positions. The recruitment team look at whether we can improve positions or not. The way we like to play suits Brins. Him and Dion are very different types of players in the way they go about things, but equally as effective. And Brins is a lad that he's very athletic, very powerful, and I think, having spoken to him, he's really fallen back in love with football over the last season with Notts, and that was something that maybe had gone a little bit over the couple of tough years that he'd had, and I think that was part of the reason he wanted to stay. Was he had interest from League Two. I think he actually had an offer from League Two, but he felt that there was something here. He felt that we was going to achieve something this season, and he's really enjoyed his time, and he's desperate to stay and do really well.
And the man you mentioned there, Dion Kelly-Evans, will be pushing him all the way for his place with those tenacious tackles of his in training for another year or so.
Yeah, we'll have to put some shin pads on the lads. But no, Dion, Dion came in last season and did great for us. And in the games he played, I can't remember Dion having too many games where you wouldn't have said he was well above average. So it's good competition for places. But as I've said before, there's no way we're going to be able to have a set 11 players when we're going to have Saturday, Tuesday right from the word go. We're cramming, like I say, a whole season into a month less, and it's going to be a tough schedule, and we're going to need everyone to play their part. And these are players who I know what I'm going to get, and I think that they're of the right quality to take us where we want to go.